Pandemonium Reigns.
Yo, welcome to Pandemonium Reigns. I'm Dan. He's Mike.
What up, what up?
What's happening, my peoples? Welcome to episode 3, y'all. Episode 3 of Pandemonium Reigns. Man, we got some good stuff today. A lot has happened in volunteer world. We're talking Lynn J Dixon. We're talking true freshman receivers. What in the world is going on with Jimmy Calloway? Give me a national champion outside of some of the big names. We're going to be talking tight end stats and doing a little bit of dreaming and wishing. Who's a player that we would pull from back in the old days from the 2010s and add to this team now? But man, let's before we jump in the show, man, Mike, how's your week? You having a good week? Everything good?
It's been a good week. It's been a fast week. Fastest summer of all time, man.
It has been
Football
a
is
fast summer.
on us.
Football
is on us.
Is upon us. You mentioned earlier that we are 4 weeks from today, y'all. 4 weeks from today. You know what? I was actually talking to somebody this week, Mike, about the podcast, and they were like, "So you guys only talk Tennessee?" No, we don't. We mainly talk Tennessee. So we've got something a little bit in there in the show today, something outside of Tennessee, but we're mainly Vawls. That's who we are. So with that said, big news coming out of Knoxville this week for our running back stable, Lynn J Dixon. And I remember his recruitment. He had narrowed it down, I believe. I don't remember who the three were, but it was us, Clemson, and somebody. But he chose Clemson and spends 4 years, if I remember right, 4 years at Clemson from 2018 to 2021, transfers to West Virginia for the spring, and now he is in Knoxville. Mike, talk to me. What does Lyn-J bring to our running back stable?
Man, if Lyn-J has been working and is in anything close to game shape, and if he can somehow quickly understand the system, his playbook, what are his responsibilities, he can bring a lot. He can bring a lot to this room. Some people, even despite the Lenith Whitehead injury, so I've heard some people that still lack the depth and the pieces in that Tennessee running back room. I'm a little bit, it really scared me. It kind of woke me up, I feel like, when Whitehead went down, especially since it was before practices even started. You know, it wasn't even a contact thing, wasn't a practice or a game injury. It felt like that really opened my eyes to kind of how limited we were. But I have heard some that really liked that room before the addition of Lyn-J. But man, if he is someone that can, like I said, if he's in shape, if he's anywhere close to game shape, if he's anywhere near ready, that could be a big addition. Specifically, you know, in pass pro situations. I mean, we already have talked about 2 freshmen and Dylan Sampson and our boy Justin, who we know how difficult it is for freshmen to pick up pass blocking responsibilities at the running back position. Mm-hmm. You know, if he can do that, if he can get anywhere near the numbers that he reached at his first seasons at Clemson, it could really mean a lot for Tennessee in the running back position and potentially open up new heights for the offense that we're about to have this year.
Yeah, I agree. I think essentially what he brings most is competition to that position group. He is a guy with experience. He's got stats going back to 2018. Now, these stats, we're going to recap here in just a second. They don't jump off the page at you, but he does come from a winning program, which I like. And most importantly, I just think he brings competition to that room, to that stable. And like you mentioned, the Whitehead injury. I mean, you and I were talking before the show. There's serious potential for him to be the number 2 back.
Yeah, that door's open if he steps in and takes it. I mean, it really could be a wake up call for some of those young guys. You know, here they were with their boys in the room, and a guy goes down, and all of a sudden there's a new guy in the room.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's a wake up call. You know, are we not good enough for you? I've heard people ask speculative questions like that. You know, are we not good enough? You got to bring in another guy. Maybe it's a wake up call for some of those guys and really pushes them to reach something further within themselves.
Absolutely. Football is a game about competition breeds success. So we want competition there. And for our maybe people out there who are listening, which we know we have you now, but you're not as knowledgeable in football, and that's okay. We're going to get you up to speed. Learning pass protection for a running back is one of the more complex things that a running back has to do or learn at that position. If he can learn that, I think he's going to see a decent amount of snaps on the field, possibly later in the season since he's getting here so late. But who knows? There's some serious potential there. Well, let's run through his stats. Let's take just a minute or two here and run through some Lynn J Dixon stats. True freshman year, 62 attempts, 547 yards, 5 scores with a long run of 65. So again, nothing there that just kind of jumps off the page. But what sticks out to me is that 8.8 yards per attempt, yards per carry. I like that a lot.
That's stout. And, even if that's, with it being a true freshman in 2018, maybe it's garbage time that he picks up, or maybe it's when Clemson builds a lead, because they obviously had a team full of dudes in 2018. But I mean, 8.8 is almost silly for running back. I mean,
yeah,
that probably does speak to somewhat the competition, the ACC. And, if you racked up 547 as far as yardage, that's not all garbage time.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really strong.
Yeah.
And I mean, that you just don't see 8.8 very often.
Right. The first thing I did when I saw that he had committed, matter of fact, when you told me that he committed, I went to YouTube and I wanted to see his highlights. And in this 2018 year, he took snaps in the playoff. So not all these plays were garbage time. He saw some serious attempts in that true freshman year. He gets a bump in attempts in 2019. He goes from 62 to 104 attempts. That's good. But only 635 yards total, dropping down to a 6.1 average, 6 touchdowns. I like that he got more attempts. I don't love that he didn't really produce there. There's not a big jump between 547 and 635.
Yeah, not even 100-yard jump, which is crazy because that 6.1 is nice as well. Mm-hmm. And probably even more speaks to how ridiculous, an average like 8.8 is for running back. But yeah, 635 in his sophomore year. And not to jump ahead, but it really kind of brings the question to me is what happened after that.
Yeah.
Because his attempts, the number of games that he was featured in really plummeted from there. I mean, he dropped down 60 carries to 2020, and it looks like he played in 10 games in 2020. So even though that was a shortened season, it doesn't look like his action was limited that much by that alone. And then it just fell off the map in 2021. I'm not quite sure what happened there. I've heard some mention, the word baggage when talking about Lyn-J. That's something that he may have to, learn how to manage and realize what an opportunity he has here. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the production really gets kind of fishy after that because it just really falls off from that 62 to 104 carries and then down to 40 the next year, basically.
Yeah, 2020 and 21 were not so good for him. To me, if we were just basing what's going on based off of his statistics, something was going on. There's just a significant drop there, and you can't convince me that Will Shipley was just that good in 21. Very serviceable. I think he's got room to get better. If I'm a Clemson fan, I like Will Shipley, but I don't think he was just outstanding enough to keep Lyn-J off the field. So I'm thinking something there. And if Swain uses the word baggage, I think Swain is a very creditable source. Something's going on.
Something's up.
Yes, but needless to say, excited to have him in Tennessee Orange. Again, think he will bring competition to that stable. Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's talk receivers. Lots going on in the receiver world. Some buzz, some good things, some bad things. Let's talk something exciting just here for a second. Mike, I'm going to throw some stuff at you. Let's talk 2 receivers, okay?
Let's do it.
Let's talk Squirrel White and Kaleb Webb. And I am not even going to try to enunciate Squirrel's real first name. It's like he's got 3 of them or something anyway. Very different receivers, okay? But let me just throw some stuff at you and let you kind of rapid fire here. Which of these 2 true receivers, and there's a potential for it to be one outside of these guys, but let's just, for the sake of conversation, these 2, Squirrel White and Kaleb Webb, which of these is going to see the field first, do you think, for a game night?
I think it's going to be Squirrel White, man. Just in listening to Tennessee coverage, daily shows and things like that this week, there's already been talk about things like packages for Squirrel White. People were kind of laughing at Heupel's remark after the first practice where he said he's not slow. What an understatement that was. That's so funny to me that he would just say he's not slow or lead off with that when asked about him. But, if he's someone as a freshman that we're talking about getting a package in for, I think it's going to be him. I think Kaleb is potentially a more traditional top receiver.
Yeah.
Whereas Squirrel's kind of in this new age. There's definitely older age guys, examples of him, of smaller receivers, just straight up speed guys. But I mean, if he's got the speed that they're talking about, where he's not a traditional guy that's going to have to learn how to run all the routes and do all the things, and he's got a package built in for him or built in ahead of time, I can't go apart from Squirrel on that one.
That's fair enough. You kind of answered this next question then. Maybe not. Well, who knows? We'll see. Who's going to score first? Who's going to enter into the checkerboard first? Kaleb or Squirrel?
And I would say Squirrel again. I really want to play devil's advocate there and go with Kaleb because maybe he gets in at a regular receiver position outside of a package built in for a guy, and say we build a lead against Ball State or something like that happens and he gets an opportunity. But with Squirrel, there's talk of him getting punt return or kick return opportunities. How can you get the ball in the guy's hands? And when a guy gets that kind of talk in his first week of college practice, I just think the ceiling is high, and I think the opportunities will be more substantial than they will for Kaleb early on. So I'm leaning Squirrel there again.
Yeah. So Squirrel is a very different receiver for us. He comes in at 5'10", $160. So he's not very big, but they obviously like his speed and the shiftiness. How do you think White compares to, say, a Velus Jones?
Yeah. One thing that always kind of snuck up on me is that Velus was not a little guy. He was both taller and thicker than I thought he was. And especially when like pro day and combine time came around and you see him out there, how they dress for those events and they're down to just like their drawers. And I mean, Velus was kind of chiseled and he was pretty thick and he was not a short little guy. Not that 5'10" is remarkably short, but corners are getting taller at the same time.
Yes, they are.
But the thing about it is, does Squirrel have that side to side agility that Velus had? Because it was special.
Yeah.
And we didn't see it, early and often. It was later on for Velus, both in the 2020 and then a little later than it probably should have been in the 21 season. But if he can develop that side to side, or if he has that God gifted ability, then he certainly could look a lot like Velus, I think, down the road.
Yeah.
He'll definitely have to put on some weight to reach that territory. But man, Velus's agility and his side to side ability was really special.
Absolutely. So who's somebody, whether Tennessee or another player, who's somebody you might want to compare him to? Or use somebody to compare to give me a ceiling on Squirrel White?
And that's a great question. And this is where it's just really evident that, Tennessee doesn't have a lot of examples like him. Just in terms of when you say things like, putting in a package for him and just how can you get him the ball, that takes my mind to Cordero Patterson, but I'm by no means giving him that, comparison this early.
Yeah.
I haven't even seen film on the guy other than his high school film. There's been no practice video or anything like that. Being that size, that small, I would say the ultimate ceiling would be maybe even something like a Percy Harvin or somebody like that. But that's, again, not a comparison I would make right now.
Yeah.
That's just an excellent question. I'd love to hear you opine on that one.
Well, I cheated while you're talking, and my mind goes to Rondell Moore, out of Purdue, and Rondell listed when he was at Purdue 5'9", 180. So, Squirrel's going to get into our college program, our weights program, and he's going to put on some weight. If he doesn't, good gosh, he should.
Yes.
But looking at a season snapshot for Rondell Moore, just give me an over-under real quick, and we'll move on for the conversation. Rondell, in one season, I'm not real sure what season this was. 2019, 35 catches, 270 yards, no scores. You think this year, 2021, 270 is a realistic number for somebody like a Squirrel White?
Let's see, 270. It is a realistic number. for that to happen, that for 270 to happen for a guy like Squirrel White, a true freshman that's 160, and hopefully he's already up from that a little bit, being with the program just as long as he's been. But for him to reach that number either tells me that we have put up yet another record number of yards, we're scoring the ball at will, or you're telling me that Jalen Hyatt might not live up to some of those expectations that we've seen for him, and maybe Squirrel's getting some of his opportunities.
Yeah.
Because, that's not a huge number, 270. It's not a huge number, but there's just going to be several guys, I think, that get touches. So I think the packages with Squirrel or what he puts on film would have to be absolutely remarkable for him to get there.
Yeah.
With as many guys as we have to get the ball to. Or somebody would have to probably not live up to on their end and Squirrel step into their place.
Yeah. Tell me this, agree or disagree. Probably the best case scenario is he hits somewhere around 180 to 200 yards on the year, and it comes in garbage time.
Absolutely.
I think that what that means is kind of like what you said, is Hyatt is doing what he's supposed to be doing. Tillman is repeating things from last year. Our tight ends are stepping up. I think that's probably best case scenario for a guy like Squirrel, especially going into this conference at $160.
Yeah, you definitely want him to get experience and get game reps.
Yeah,
and to let him adjust to the speed, because he's probably going to go from being one of the absolute fastest guys on the field in high school ball in Alabama to a lot faster guys that he's going to be lining up against. Definitely. 100% a lot bigger and stronger guys that he's going to be lining up against. So I hope he gets the reps.
Absolutely.
I hope it's in garbage time. And then he, steps into a role to where he can play meaningful snaps later in the season as we go.
Absolutely. I wouldn't be surprised to see him get a touch or two four Thursday nights when we host Ball State. Hey, let's talk about receivers a little bit more, but shifting gears. It's changing subjects, I guess, or personas. Jimmy Calloway. Not good news coming out on Jimmy Calloway. What the heck is going on with Jimmy Calloway? Talk to me, bro.
And so I made it a point to listen to as many comments as I can, as many press conferences or press opportunities as I can this week. Because it's such an exciting time. I mean, we used to wait all summer, all year for this time of year. Baseball being good at Tennessee has really sped that process up. So we're not quite as desperate for information and everything like that. All that aside, about a week ago or last weekend, rather, I'm listening to the coach's remarks. You've got Heupel, you've got Golish, and you've got Tim Banks. And, it's a lot of generic stuff. It's a lot of coach speak. Tim Banks was even like, this may come across as coach speak in a lot of his answers, and he would end up giving a good answer.
Yeah.
All that to say, Golish is asked about the young receivers, kind of like we're talking about right now. And then some of the guys that are coming back as well. And I mean, he is as complimentary and kind of coach speaky as you could want to be, talking about Hyatt, talking about Jalen Hyatt, and, talking about Squirrel White, talking about Chaz Nimrod, someone that I thought would take definitely a couple years to break out or even make an impact.
Yeah.
And then he gets to Jimmy Calloway and he lets loose. This is to paraphrase what he said. Jimmy Calloway has been super inconsistent the entire time that we've been here. We're entering year 2 of that time frame. Not like it's been a long time, but he followed that up with he's struggled to be the same dude day in and day out. And part of me really likes that answer, because if I'm the guy that receives that remark, I mean, you've lit my world on fire, dude.
Absolutely.
I'm not going to give you any reason to say anything like that again.
Yeah.
And thinking back to Jimmy Calloway, how excited I was when Tennessee signed him. How excited I was when he took that little screen to the house against Pittsburgh last year. I mean, dude, I forgot all about that stuff because he's fallen off completely.
Right.
But I mean, Golish just let it rip, and I don't know what to make of it. I mean, is he challenging the guy? I certainly want to think so, because that's really the only good scenario. But I mean, what's your take on that? That's crazy. Just how honest he was with that.
Well, so for our listeners who don't know, I have an opportunity to serve as one of the coaches at the local high school here. I'm the character coach, which is a glorified way of saying I'm the chaplain. But anyway, I get to do and be a part of a lot of different things, and I get to really pay attention to the way coaches talk about players. And having played as well, I would like to think that as Golish calling him to the carpet, saying it's basically like now or never, dude. You're here, and then sometimes you're not. Like, what's it going to be? We need the same dude to show up every single day.
Yeah.
And kind of like what you're saying. If I'm Jimmy Calloway, like that, I'm hoping that lots of fire in my rear end and I get stuff together. Heaven forbid it's family related, or maybe there's something going on at home. Who knows? But assuming none of those things are the thing and it's just strictly about football, like, come on, man, like we need you. Like you were,
truly.
I feel like we didn't see you after a failed conversion against Florida. Need you to step up. But listen, I know there's a bunch of haters out there who've attacked Golish for that remark. Listen, I like it. Call him to the carpet. Call him to the carpet. Bring out the best in him. If who are we to pretend as fans that we know Callaway better than one of these coaches? So
absolutely,
I'm going to trust this staff. We hear a lot about the staff, how they're very family oriented. So sometimes love is tough love. So hey, call him to the carpet. But this raises the question. Let's talk hypothetical for a second. How much longer is he going to be with us?
Yeah, I mean, best case, this does wake him up, and that's certainly what I'm hoping for. And don't get me wrong, I know how to respond a moment ago about Golish's remark. I love the honesty, and the way it came across to me was that he was challenging his guy. So that's certainly the way I want to take it. I don't think any different of Golish for his remark. It's disappointing kind of that he had to make it. But I mean, he answered honestly. That's what I want to hear if I'm listening or if I'm in the media.
Yeah.
But I think there's two simple scenarios, and I think that he wakes up, he finishes his career at Tennessee. He's got a really high ceiling, I think. I mean,
absolutely.
He really does. He's a fast kid. He's got all kinds of ability, but he's either going to finish his career at Tennessee, or if we get to even the Florida game, week 4, a third of the way through the season, his production's not up. If he's not answering the bell, I would say he's in the portal before the halfway point of the season would be my guess.
Yeah, I would agree to that. And this is, for those listening, this is not a shot at Callaway's character or anything. We just live in a transfer portal world. And this is typically the moves that kids are making. So we want him to volunteer. We want him to get it together. We want, hey man, go out there and beat Tillman
do it. Yeah.
Do the thing.
I don't want you to fail. I want you to be woken up by this. It is a little embarrassing of a remark, all honesty.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping that it's just a call out that was needed, and it certainly wakes him up is my hope. Rooting for the guy for sure.
Absolutely. Let's go Jimmy Callaway. Hey, let's shift gears. We're going to jump in a second to some stat projections. Words are hard, my man.
Yes, they are.
But before we do, like I said, I'm talking to somebody this week. He said, "So you guys only talk Tennessee?" No, we don't. We talk the entire college football world. And I want to talk just for a second here. I saw a question posed or proposed on social media. I think it was Instagram. Couldn't tell you what account. But I thought it raised an interesting question, good for conversation. Mike, give me a national champion not named Alabama, Georgia, or Ohio State.
Well, if I have to go with my most trusted answer, I'm going to speculate on a couple here in a minute. But if I have to go with my most trusted answer, I'm going to roll with one of the hot takes that we asked for and that we received, and that would be Clemson wins the title in 2022. Some teams came to mind for me. I'm just going to be truthfully honest. It was the teams that come to mind are USC because of all the buzz, the Addison and the Caleb Williams transfer.
Yeah.
But I just don't trust them yet. Yeah. I'm sorry, but they're going to have to prove it. It's kind of like Texas. If Texas had added Caleb Williams and Jordan Addison, they're going to have to prove it to me before I believe it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm just not there. Yeah. I'm just not there with USC yet. I think they'll have a fantastic year. They should run away with the Pac-12. I just don't think they could hold up for 4 quarters against any of those big three or Clemson if Clemson gets back on track. And then a real dark horse team that came to mind for me. I think this one could surprise you, but you might see it coming.
Lay it on me.
One that jumped at me, and one that I did hear, just to be truthfully honest, was Baylor.
Baylor
they kind of made a really crazy turnaround from yet another disastrous coaching situation. Had a very good year within the last couple of years. I mean, Aranda seems like a rising star in the game. Who's to say that they won't do it? You know what I mean? But they're a real dark horse. I would certainly see USC winning one before Baylor. But for me, it's Clemson. Their recruiting has not fallen off that far from where it was when they were winning championships.
Yeah.
They've got multiple highly talented quarterbacks. If one of those guys can put it together, I'm sure they've still got guys all over the trenches on offense and defense. I mean, It's Clemson for me.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to agree with you. I think Clemson is my answer. I think it's kind of like the writing on the wall. I think it's the obvious answer. I want to address the USC option real quick. To me, USC this year feels like the first year that LeBron and D Wade and what was his name? The other big three guy,
Chris Bosh.
It's like the first year those guys got together. It feels like that. It feels like almost the first building of the super team. And as you know, those guys didn't win a title in the first year. They needed to figure out each other. And I'm not saying that that's how that translates from basketball, pro basketball to college ball, but that's just what it feels like to me. Everybody's talking about USC, but last time I checked, they haven't done a dang thing.
Nothing.
They've done nothing. And especially now that you've got USC and UCLA on their way out the door of the Pac-12. If I am a Washington, if I am an Oregon, I'm going to make sure you take an L before you leave.
That is a great point.
I am circling you, be like, all right, you want out of here? Let me show you what you're missing. Like, hey, go run for greener pastures. Go, yeah. We'll probably be right behind you, but we're going to send you off with an L first. But this Baylor thing, this really surprises me. I do like Aranda. We mentioned him as a possible candidate in the last show about replacing Saban one day, but Vegas. I'm looking at the Vegas odds here. They got Oklahoma State as a better odd than Baylor, which, if I remember right, the Big 12 championship came down to these two, Oklahoma State and Baylor. But listen, if I'm a high school player coming out, getting ready to make a decision, I don't lean towards Baylor whatsoever. But man, I've got to be thinking about them because I love what Aranda is doing. You've got to be compelled. But what he's doing, what world would we be living in, though, bro? If the Baylor Bears were crowned CFP champions,
man, I'm really going to tip my hand for some of our future shows, but for me, we would be living in paradise. That means Alabama didn't win it, Georgia didn't win it. Heck, I hate Ohio State not nearly as much as the first show I mentioned, but they didn't win it.
Yes.
I mean, we'd be living in paradise, bro. The word parody would be reigning supreme. Oh my gosh. Now I'm going to go buy some Baylor gear or something. I'm rooting for it now. It was a dark horse in my mind a minute ago.
Sick of Bears.
Pure bliss, just the thought of it.
Hey, Siri, play Coldplay, Paradise. That is hilarious. Oh, I love that. Hey, well, let's get back to some Tennessee talk here. So last week we brought you some stat projections. We talked in the past. We've talked Jalen Hyatt. We've talked Jabari Small. What we're going to do today is we're going to talk just the tight end unit altogether. And instead, we're going to do this a little bit different. We're going to throw some over-unders at you. We're going to lay out a number. We'll recap stats real quick. Michael, I'll get you to do that here in a second. And then we'll lay the over-under. Give us the stats real quick for Jacob Warren and Princeton Fant from last year, and then we'll lay the over-under line.
All right, let's do it. Last year, Warren had 18 receptions, 179 yards, and 3 touchdowns. And then Princeton Fant was in the ballpark, 16 receptions, but he did have 40 more yards, roughly at 220. But he did just have 1 touchdown last year. Mm-hmm. So together, those two gave you 34 receptions, 400 yards, and 4 touchdowns in 2021.
Not good. I mean,
not good.
I know it's the tight end position. Warren 3 scores, Fant 1 score. For you mathematicians out there, that's 4 scores. I don't like it. No me gusta. So here's our over-under line. We're going to say 45 catches on the year, 550 yards on the year, 7 scores on the year. Are they over or are they under? Let's start with receptions first. 45 receptions.
45 receptions. I'm going to go slightly over here.
Yep.
I'm going to say no more than probably 48 or 50 for the group.
Okay.
And I think the reason for that is because they are good red zone targets.
Yes.
So I think that's going to take away some of the opportunities from your receivers and possibly your run game.
Yes.
Just early last year, we saw interesting packages for Jacob Warren in the red zone, and a really interesting jump pass from Hendo to Jacob Warren was one of his 3 touchdowns last year.
Yep.
But I'm going to go slightly over the 45 because they could serve as a little blanket if there is, some downtime between when these receivers step up and come to play.
Yeah.
If these receivers come to play day one, they could be right in that same ballpark of last year, but I'm going to say they get just over it. 48 to 50 is really where I'm leaning. Just thinking about what they did last year and thinking about the time it could take for these receivers to get up to speed this year.
Yeah. I'm very similar. And everything that I'm about to throw at you right here for these two is really strictly based off their experience at the college level, how long they've been here. They're both, 5th-year guys?
Yes, I believe so.
That includes the COVID year. So for them, I've got 51 catches on the year. And so I've got it over there. And then I've also got over on the yards. I've got it at 605. So about 55 more yards than the threshold there. What about you?
Yeah, that was my initial feeling as well, was right around 600, which seems like we coordinated there, but we just threw these numbers together. I know before we started recording, but yeah, I'm in the 600 ballpark. I think it could be slightly less because I just think the ceiling is that much higher for the receivers if they were to break out.
Yes.
But I'm really curious to hear where you're at on our touchdown threshold of 7.
Because I like their experience. I like these guys as leaders in this locker room, as experience, knowing what to do, knowing where to be. I like them in the red zone. I got them at 11 scores. So a bump of 4 they had 4 on the year. We lay the over under at 7, but I'm going 11. So a handful more than last year, which I just have to expect. I mean, we lost Bayless. We got some new receivers coming up. Tillman, I expect to really see some double teams and get a lot of respect. I like these guys in the end zone. Get it to them. 11.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I like the over here as well. Regardless of the yards, really, even regardless of where they land on the receptions number, I really like them in the end zone. Specifically, I really like Warren in the red zone. I feel like just Hendo really trusts him, I think, Warren, and not to say that he doesn't trust Fant, but I think that there's been a connection there from early on. And I think regardless of, how gaudy their numbers are as far as receptions or yards, they're going to get their red zone targets because people are going to know that the jump balls and the corner routes are coming to Tillman. So they're going to have to find ways to get creative in the red zone. And I think that the opportunity is just really there for those tight ends. So I'm going over the 7. Yeah. I could certainly see 10, 8 to 10, but over 7 for sure is my answer on this one.
Absolutely. All right, my guy, let's jump into the last segment of today's show. We're going to call it quits. We're going to do something fun here. We're both going to give our audience one offensive player, one defense player for this upcoming 22 team that we would love to add to this team from sometime in the 2010s. So somebody who has been a Tennessee Volunteer in the past. So that's going to be the Derek Dooley era. That's going to be the Butch Jones era, the Jeremy Pruitt era. Who would we add to this 2022 team first? And because I'm selfish and I'm stingy and I'm already talking, I'm going to make you go first.
Okay.
Who are you going to add to the offensive side of the ball over this last decade? Who you taking? Who you adding?
All right. This is a heart pick. It was the first name that came to mind for me, and I did weigh out some others, and I'd be glad to talk about those as well.
Yeah.
But if I've got one spot, one free pass from the 2010s era, I'm adding Trey Smith, man.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I knew it. I should have guessed
You should have
before you
guessed.
went. I knew it. I knew it.
You should have guessed. Absolutely.
Trey Smith. That's a great pick because we need help on that offensive line. I think that's a great pick, and all of Vol Nation loves that guy. So happy he landed with the Chiefs. Listen, I wanted to say Trey Smith too, but I really just felt like was yes, I'm calling your answer cliche.
It is. I'll own that.
It's just not as fun. I
Yeah.
wanted somebody fun. So let me tell you where my head first went. I'm gonna give you a couple names where my head went, and I'll tell you the guy that I landed on. My head first went to Michael Rivera.
Wow.
Right.
That's out there. I love it.
Like we were talking about tight end production. Actually went and looked at his numbers. They're not good.
Yeah.
It's nothing profound. But he was also lost between Derek Rogers and Justin Hunter and Tyler Bray. Whenever he was mentally present. And then my head went to Justin Hunter. Think about how fun it would be to have Tillman on one side and prime Justin Hunter on the other. Dude,
oh my gosh, dude.
We'd be throwing it balls deep.
we would be throwing it balls deep every down. I mean, Hendon would have 600 attempts on the year. It would, how Hurd and Kamara had that little nickname for themselves, Thunder and Lightning or whatever.
Yeah, and it would run CMG or something like that.
Yeah, whatever they called themselves. But Thunder and Lightning, it would be like that because Tillman, he can run past you.
Yeah,
he can do it, but Hunter's gonna do it. Like he's gonna run past you whether you're ready or not.
And if Hooker is under pressure, it's just like when we were playing South Carolina in 2013, and Justin Worley was like, "Oh, he's down there somewhere." Hey man, just sling it. Tillman's down there, Hunter's down there somewhere. Out jump him. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe Derrick. Derrick, like what a great third down dude.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Physical at the line of scrimmage. Like I would be really happy with that. And then I thought, no. Okay. I think I do want to land receiver. Then I went, okay, we were talking about Squirrel White. What about Pig Howard?
Oh man, that's somebody I didn't even think about. That's a good answer though. I mean, reliable, very reliable. They talking about packages. I mean, they had freaking reverses and stuff I've never seen in 2014 for him. I mean, yeah, absolutely. That's a good answer.
And dude ran like his head was on fire. Like
he played like if he didn't gain the first down or the line to gain, that he was going to die. He truly played like his life was on the line. It was beautiful.
Yes. And then I went, you know what? It actually needs to be another position. So here's where I landed.
All right.
Then I went Jalen Hurd. Just because now he's not my final answer. Just because big back, how well that would offset for Jabari Small, how fun that would be. I think the obvious answer for a lot of people, they're going to say Alvin Kamara. Yeah, obviously. I just don't feel like it's as fun. So I went Jalen Hurd. I love that big body. I mean, I'll never forget Jim McElwain after the 2015 game when we played Florida. Like, thank God that game is over and we don't have to tackle him anymore.
Yeah.
What a friggin' bruiser he was. And you and I have friends who said he just falls forward for yards, but I just highly disagree. And I hope he's listening to the show right now, so he can't even argue back how wrong he is. Dude would knock your head off. But here's where I landed. All right,
let's hear it.
I think you're really going to enjoy this.
Okay, hit me.
Give me John Kelly.
Oh,
give me John Kelly. Give me a John Kelly
pick
paired with a Jabari Small, who just come at you like down after down, play after play. Give me a John Kelly who runs pissed off, right? Yeah. Angry, mad, aggressive. I hated the way he ended his time at Tennessee with the 2017 season. Like, give me one more year, bro. But at the same time, don't want it with Pruitt. But I would love to see him in this, not only on this team, but in this locker room. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Like, give me John Kelly. So you take Trey Smith. You took the easy out.
I did take the easy out. The other guys the ones that came to mind for me were Hunter, because I do think, one more like surefire receiver would be so nice.
Yeah.
And then Cordero Patterson came to mind, but then I was like, he might not care about the playbook. I couldn't get that thought out of my head. I wanted somebody a little bit more that I could trust a little bit more. And that's kind of how I got back to Trey Smith because,
Yeah.
the offensive line, I need these guys to take care of my boy Hendo.
Absolutely. Trey Smith is a very obvious pick. Makes a lot of sense in my mind. Let's shift to the other side. That was a lot of fun. Let's talk defense, though. Who are you going to take? Are you going to let me guess this time, actually?
Yes. Go ahead and guess for me.
I'm going to guess your pick, and I'm gonna say that you said Derek Barnett.
So he's on my short list for sure.
Oh, he's on the short list. Okay.
Yeah. Which my short list is only 2 here. So feel free to take another stab.
That's an extremely short list. I don't know. I was really sold on you having Derek Barnett. Let's throw out a random name just for funsies. Corey Vereen.
Nope, not for Corey Vereen.
Okay, all right, give it to me. Who's the one? Who's the one that you didn't pick? And give me the guy you landed on.
Derek Barnett is the one that I didn't pick.
Oh, okay, all right.
Which is crazy. I mean, I can't believe I'm even saying this. But yet again, I want someone that I can trust, which you can certainly trust Derek Barnett.
Oh my!
But
gosh.
I feel like we need it a little bit more in the secondary if that opens your eyes up a little bit more.
Okay.
And with that said,
I think I got
Cam Sutton.
I knew it. Cam Sutton.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cam Sutton, man.
Sutton.
I mean, talk about a guy that was baiting quarterbacks in like his second game of his college career. I mean,
absolutely.
Not that I wouldn't want Barnett. I mean, goodness gracious, this is really me trying not to take the easy answer here because Barnett. I mean, he broke the minister's records. I mean, he broke Reggie White's records.
Yes.
So yeah, give me Derek Barnett if I can take 2.
Oh, absolutely. Well, listen, you put a Cam Sutton on this team, and this defense, I feel so much better about this defense.
So much better.
I really, really do. I feel like you can kind of disguise one corner, both. Like I don't feel good about this. So you put a Cam Sutton out there, I'm like, okay, let's roll.
Let's roll.
He's a guy who's going to buy that defensive line time to get to the quarterback.
Absolutely.
So what is he going to do? All right. So for me, I had a short list as well, and Cam Sutton is on that list.
Okay.
I wrote down Cam Sutton. I wrote down Derek Barnett, but again, Derek Barnett just seemed like a cliche answer. But, but again, he's like Cam Sutton. You put him on this defense, game changer.
Oh, absolutely.
Game changing. I'm feeling so good, right? I'm feeling so good.
Whoever's on the other side, you can add 5 sacks to your projection for them for sure. 5 to 7 more sacks for them.
Absolutely. Yeah. Tyler Barron has a year, right?
Yes, he does. Yeah. Absolutely.
Another guy on my short list. Tell me what you think about this. Daniel Batuli. Man,
talk about a guy that would easily rack up 17 or 20 tackles if the game came his way.
Yep.
I mean, dude, he was a very smart player. He was seemingly always in the right spot, even when our defenses were bad or, were put in really bad situations. He was a really bright spot.
Yes.
And, I can't believe that my short list didn't even include a linebacker. And really I was asking myself, like, who did I leave off? Because Barnett and Sutton came to my mind so quick. I'm like, I don't know who I'm leaving off, but these are my guys if I'm adding one. Yeah. So Batuli, I think, is a great answer. Really, if you rank the linebackers from the 2010s on, he's got to be really, really high on that list. I mean, top 3 probably as far as what guys did. So, I mean, that's a good answer.
I'd kill to have him right now. But he's not my guy. Do you? Okay, so it's not Barnett. It's not Sutton. It's not Batuli. Do you want to take a guess here?
Man, I'll tell you this. I would have never guessed John Kelly, and something tells me I'm probably not going to guess your defender either. So I'm going to chicken out on that.
Okay. He's taking the high road. Give me, drum roll please, Jalen Reeves-Maybin.
Oh, man.
I like Reeves-Maybin for one reason and one reason alone. Dude was a dog.
He sure was.
He was a freaking dog.
He sure was.
Making plays in the backfield against Oklahoma, good in pass coverage, wherever the ball was, that's where Reeves-Maybin was.
You're going to find him there with it.
Give me Jalen Reeves-Maybin.
That's an incredible answer. I love it.
And
I would take him in a heartbeat.
He's from Tennessee. He is one of the ideal Tennessee Volunteers for me. I would take him back in a heartbeat. I love his versatility. He can play. He can pursue the quarterback. He can drop back in coverage. He can do so many different things.
Absolutely.
I like his ability to spy in this current world of college football. I'm gonna take Reeves-Maben, and I don't feel bad about it.
No, that's a great answer. I mean, again, I think if you add probably any of these guys, I feel a whole lot better about predicting Tennessee's win-loss record and the outcomes this year. But Jalen Reeves-Maben in a thin linebacker group, I'll take that all day. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, great answer.
All right, so let's do something real quick before we hop off here. Let's take your two answers, which remind the audience real quick who you had.
We got Trey Smith and we got Cameron Sutton.
All right, so we add Trey Smith and we add Cameron Sutton to this team. Does that change? If so, what does it change into the overall record projection for this year? Does Tennessee go 12-0, 10-2? How does it change?
Well, whereas I was at 8-4 previously when we did our predictions for this year, I'm feeling really good about 9. And for those guys that are throwing out the possibility of 10 wins, only losing to Alabama, Georgia, what have you, I'm seeing myself in that conversation. If you've got, Cam Sutton and Trey Smith, I mean, just two studs. I mean,
Yes.
two studs. Not
Yes.
that even Trey is even as bad as at a position of need as Sutton or, some of the other positions on offense. But give me those guys. I'm really liking 9-3. I mean, you can't convince me that we're losing 4 games if we have those two.
Absolutely.
And then 10-2 seems a whole lot more feasible if we have those guys on this year's team.
Yeah, I think 9-3 is all but guaranteed, but I still do not like our odds to beat Bama or Georgia.
Same.
I think that's
Same.
fair. All right, we add John Kelly and we add Jalen Reeves-Maben to this squad, not in addition to Cam and Trey separately. What record are we staring at?
I'm feeling, more like 9-3 than I am 10-2 still again. But I mean, just Jalen Reeves-Maben, man, what he would add, to a team that is short on linebackers, at least on proven linebackers. And then John Kelly, I mean, he's going to bring the best out of those other running backs.
Absolutely.
When you see the way he plays, you're going to want to play like that. And honestly, I mean, Jabari Small kind of did play like that earlier in his career, and I think he's totally capable of it. He's got a little bit more agility maybe, whereas Kelly would want to run through you some. But I'm feeling 9, and I'm trickling into the 10-2 territory there again.
Yeah, I feel the same way about the overall record as I said with yours. I think 9-3 is looking really good. I think 10-2 is the ceiling. Still, don't think it's good enough to beat Bama or Georgia. I don't think you could add Cam Sutton, Trey Smith, Reeves-Maben, and John Kelly and still beat Bama or Georgia.
Yeah,
we are just so far off and away from those guys. We would need to add several more.
Yeah, so. And it's not that I don't like our staff. It's not that I don't like our players. It's just the number of players, the competition that they've been practicing against, the time they've been on campus and playing against, for that matter.
Yep.
Really, we need to build that upper echelon of talent like we've got in our starting 22. But that takes time.
Absolutely.
The previous regime did bring us in some good players, and I like a lot of our recruits so far. But even in a transfer portal world, it takes time to build quality depth, especially in the SEC, and especially as far down as Tennessee was. Beginning of last year and throughout the process as far as scholarship numbers and things like that.
Absolutely. Hey, that's good stuff today, man. I felt like we had a great episode, a great show. Thanks for hanging out with me, man. I love doing this with you. You're more than a pretty face. I don't care what your wife says about you.
Right back at you. This was a lot of fun.
Hey, this is episode 3 of Pandemonium Reigns. You can follow us on TikToks, on the Instagrams, on the Tweeters. You can check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, and Pandora's still waiting to approve us, but we should be on there any day now. But we love you guys, and we're so glad that you're listening to us. Thanks for hopping in. Make sure you click those follow buttons, those subscribe buttons. Make sure you tell your friends mamas, tell your friends dogs, tell all the people in your world about Pandemonium Reigns, and tell them that we talk more than just Tennessee, even though today's show, Mike, is a lot of ball stuff.
It sure was. I mean, heck, we had a Baylor reference and we still talked like 99.99% Tennessee.
Yeah. Oh, those Baylor Bears. Hey, Baylor, go win us a national title. This is Pandemonium Reigns. I'm Dan. He's Mike.
See you guys.
We love you guys. We out.
Pandemonium Reigns.